Hey everyone! So I wanted to do a little video to go over some COVID vaccine updates and to kind of summarize the data that we have so far. I'm Annalisa. I'm an acute care nurse practitioner here in Florida, for whoever doesn't know me. And I'm doing this video not only for my nurses and healthcare colleagues, but also for all of the wait and see people. I've heard a billion times that people want to wait and see for a few months, see the data, and we've got some data, a significant amount now. So let's get to it. The first thing that I do want to do though is talk about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which has been all over the news, and I just wanted to be giving you guys a little update on what's going on. So we know the J&J vaccine is different from the other two vaccines in use because it uses the adenovirus vector instead of using mRNA. So that's basically just a dead virus that can't do anything other than carry in some of the vaccine elements into the body and into the cell. So what happened? Last week on April 13th, the CDC and the FDA said, we're going to put a pause on the J&J vaccine. And that happened because the system flagged 6 reports of some kind of unusual blood clotting disorder that occurred in people who received this vaccine. And at that time, about 7.5 million doses had been given. So scientists decided, let's go over all of the data, let's do a thorough investigation before we keep using it so that we can decide, do we need to make any changes, is something wrong here, or what's going on. So this is what they found. As of April 21st, and out of 7.98 million doses of the J&J vaccine that were given in the U.S., they found 15 cases of a rare blood clotting disorder that's brand new, and they named it thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, or TTS. And out of these 15 cases that happened, they were all women. 13 out of the 15 women were under 50 years old, and unfortunately 3 of the women died. So that's the data. They also pointed out none of these women that had TTS were pregnant or postpartum, and actually none of them had a history of a blood clotting disorder or anything like that. So what do we know about this weird blood clotting disorder related to the J&J vaccine? Well, we know that it's an autoimmune problem, meaning that in the very few people that this happens to, for whatever reason, when they get that vaccine, their immune system way overreacts, and it basically loses its whole ability to balance itself and to regulate itself. So the vaccine goes in, the body freaks out, it makes a bunch of platelets, which make clots form really easily, and then the body sees that happening, and it's like, okay, no more clotting, and then the opposite happens. The body can't use its platelets, it has no more, and that's when, after the clotting, now bleeding can happen in the patient. So if this sounds familiar to any of my nurses, that's because it sounds a lot like HIT, right? Like when the body destroys its own platelets because of heparin, it's kind of like it's doing the same thing, but because of something in this vaccine. So, I mean, I guess the good news is that we know how to recognize this in the medical community, and we know how to treat it. As long as it's identified that this person might be having this happen, we can easily treat them. And we know that it's always happened within 1 to 3 weeks after the vaccine as well. So that's another great clue for both the public and the medical community to just have to be on the lookout for this. Alright, so what questions do we still have? What don't we know? And like basically everything other than what I just said. But the big question, I think, is what puts someone at high risk to have this reaction? It's hard to tell people who shouldn't take this vaccine. We don't know, like, why does this happen to these certain people? Is it a coincidence that it was all women? Maybe, maybe not. So the CDC had a committee to decide, should we keep using this vaccine? Should we tell women not to take this vaccine? And they put out their decision on Friday, April 23rd. This committee said, let's keep using this vaccine in everyone 18 and older, but we're going to put a warning into the emergency use authorization that everyone reads before they get the vaccine And it's going to have a warning directed at women under 50 who might have an increased risk for this TTS. How we would know who that is, I have no idea, but they're still going to mention it in this literature that's given out. So this kind of makes sense, right? Because even though it's horrible that 15 people had this happen and 3 of them died, we still have millions of people who safely got this vaccine. So, the overall rate that this happened is just a teeny, tiny fraction of a percent. It's barely even a number. The risk of having blood clots if you actually get COVID is just astronomically higher. And, now that we have a little bit of an idea of what TTS is, we can look for it, we can warn people about the side effects, and we know how to treat it. So, here they are. Severe headache, severe abdominal or chest pain, fainting, seizures, blurry vision or vision changes, shortness of breath, leg swelling, or any kind of unexplained bleeding or bruising. These are all signs or symptoms of TTS. So if we see somebody that has had a J&J vaccine within the last 3 weeks, probably more than a week ago, and they have those, to the hospital they go. So let's talk about the other vaccines that we have, the other 2 mRNA vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer. As of the data review that was done on that same investigation, April 13th, there have been no reports of any type of blood clotting, low platelet things happening. So it seems like whatever that is with the adenovirus vaccine is not going to happen with these mRNA vaccines. We have over 222 million doses of these vaccines that have been administered, and we really have no red flags on it. So that's amazing. The only severe side effect, which again, not the mild side effects, not the side effects you're supposed to have, the body aches, the headache, the little fever, that means your vaccine's working. We're talking about a severe and unintended side effect, and the only one that's popped up extremely rarely with these vaccines is anaphylaxis. That's not surprising because anaphylaxis is like, just a bad allergic reaction. So that can happen with many things. The good news is they always occurred when they did within 15 or 20 minutes while the people were still there being observed, and they were able to get treated easily. Nobody got hurt, nobody died, and the number of cases was also extremely rare. It comes down right now to about 11 cases per million. And just to give you a frame of reference, like if we were giving out Snickers bars, 1% of the U.S. population is estimated is allergic to peanuts. So if we put that into a per million number, that would come out to be tens of thousands of cases per million. So here's the bottom line. The COVID vaccines, all of them, are overwhelmingly effective and safe from the data we have so far. The numbers just don't lie, and there's just been so much good progress made by these vaccines. There's nothing in the data or the numbers to suggest we need to not give them. Like I said, these severe adverse effects have been exceedingly rare. They're treatable, and this system that monitors data is pretty impressive, and it's ongoing. If it was able to flag the initial less than 1 in a million clotting disorder, we can be pretty confident that this process is in place to keep us safe. So I'm just going to end by reminding everyone that in medicine, nothing is 100%. Nothing works 100% of the time in 100% of people. That's not our goal. That's just unrealistic. The decisions we make in medicine and in healthcare, they come down to studying the risks versus the benefits, right? So there's nothing at all that we've seen in data so far to suggest that any type of risk of taking a vaccine is going to come even close to touching the benefits of the vaccine. And yeah, after hundreds of millions of doses given and a few months, we can say, if you're an adult and you're 18 or older, you are advised to get the first COVID vaccine that's available to you. So, thanks for watching. And if anyone has any questions or would like to delve deeper into any of the topics that came up, I would be more than happy. Leave me a comment. All right, guys. Everyone stay happy and healthy. Peace out.